Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Visconti Breeze Fountain Pen. I've gone over the Visconti brand history in the past. If you're interested in more information, check out my other Visconti reviews. The links will be in the description below. As for the Visconti Breeze, we see a new entry-level fountain pen by the Italian brand aimed at the more younger user with its fruity Skittles theme and bright neon colors. This entry of fountain pen by Visconti has now become the most accessible and least expensive fountain pen that the brand has to offer. They come in 6 different flavors. They are cherry, lime, mandarin, blueberry, plum, and lemon. So basically, red, green, orange, purple, yellow, and blue. So how is it that they came up with these colors? I don't actually know, but I think whoever did come up with the colors had a sweet spot for Skittles. Anyone else notice all the Visconti Breeze colors are the same colors as Skittles, and more so if you include the limited edition blue Skittle in the UK. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone, those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad depending on you. Our nib is the newly designed number 5 sized steel nib made by Bock. It has the same spade type design found on the Mirage, with the name brand and the tip size underneath it. This one is a fine. The feed is the standard Bock plastic feed made for the number 5 sized nibs. They are friction fit in an unscrewable nib housing. Between the nib unit and the grip section is a magnetic collar that is responsible for the magnetic capping of the pen. The grip section is the same material as the rest of the pen and has a very light taper. The grip threads are a metal assembly. These threads screw into the metal thread assembly in the body that is, interestingly, also the center band. The center band is slightly tapered at the top, only visible when uncapped. When capped, the center band looks like a symmetrical wedding band style band with the model name Breeze all around the length of the band in raised 3D block letters atop slanted hash lines behind it. After the center band, we have the injection molded vegetal resin body that tapers ever so slightly to the rounded end. At the end, we have a small metal butt plug acting as the end finial. The cap is made of the same material as the rest of the pen. It bears the same Ponte Vecchio inspired clip as all other Visconti pens, with the brand name laser engraved. The clip has the same character as the Mirage in that the top of the cap is cut through by the clip. The end of the clip, where it meets the cap body, is rounded, as opposed to flat like in the case of previous Visconti pens. The pen was packaged in never-before-seen boxing, starting with the outermost slightly off-white sleeve. Slide that off and you're met with a charcoal-colored box/sleeve hybrid with the brand name and logo printed vertically in silver. One end of the box sleeve hybrid has a hole, with the other end being open. Slide off the box sleeve hybrid and you have an open top box with your pen sitting in a plastic sleeve. Also included is the international sized Visconti branded converter, as well as a fold-out card with information on the international warranty. An ink cartridge was not included, nor was filling instructions on how to fill the pen from a bottle with the included converter. Under the foam is nothing, just a charcoal-colored cardboard spacer to keep the foam in place. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good, those elements about the pen that are good. This redesigned number 5 sized Bock stainless steel nib has established itself as some of the finest nibs that Bock has to offer. The tuning and adjusting is superb. It is very smooth and has a hint of texture and drag that reminds you that you're writing on paper. It has a generous ink flow that never seems to fail, but at the same time retains a line width that is on par with a Eurofine nib. It has a bit of bounce to it, but being a steel nib, it is not inclined to offer much in the way of line variation. There isn't anything that I can even think of to complain about when it comes to how this pen writes. It's simply fantastic and very enjoyable to write with. The balance of the pen is also something that is worth mentioning. When posted, it is well balanced, and although I do notice that the pen feels shorter in comparison to when it's posted, it doesn't take more than a few letters for me to forget about that, since the length is not so short that it makes writing uncomfortable in the least bit. Additionally, the pleasure of the writing experience quickly takes over. Posted, the pen feels longer and slightly more substantial. Having said that, either option is available to you, and neither the posted user or the unposted user is left out of the conversation. Now let's talk about the build. This pen is made of the same injection molded vegetal resin used in Visconti Mirage fountain pens. It has the same swirls and mix of colors found in our Rembrandts, and Van Goghs. Where this pen stands out is in the amount of resin used and the thickness of the pen body walls. Being that the cap doesn't have a center band, one could worry that the posting of the cap could stress the rim of the cap and possibly cause cracking or fracturing. However, I don't find that to be a cause for concern. The thickness of the resin appears to be thick enough to the point of being easily capable of resisting any cracking that could come from stress. Another point of mention is in the finish of the resin. It feels as though the pen has less of a waxy feel in the way of the Rembrandts and Van Goghs and has more of a harder scratch-resistant, glossy, glassy feel to it. There wasn't any remnants of the capping in the way of micro scratches left on the body. I think this is due to the resin being less waxy, as well as the fact that the cap doesn't have a metal center band making contact with the body when capped. In any case, that's one less issue that I have to concern myself when it comes to wear and tear over time. It's also fair to say that even though this pen is on the lighter side, in the hand, it doesn't feel in any way lacking or cheap. It feels sturdy and solid. Last thing that I want to point out is a little detail that is minor, but what I suspect not minor in terms of thought invested by the designers. I'm talking about the clip of the pen. At the end of the pen, where the Ponte Vecchio-inspired clip touches down on the cap, I noticed that the clip is rounded as opposed to flat like seen in previous Visconti pens. Taking a look at the previous versions, we have a flat end meeting the cap body, and due to the design of the cap, oftentimes the flat part of the clip doesn't sit flush against the cap. This is a minor nuance that's not easily noticeable, but once identified, it's always there. That for me is an OCD trigger. Although it didn't kill the pen for me, I always know it's there. In the case of the Breeze, that flat surface was rounded out to eliminate that minor flawed nuance and allowed my crazy lizard brain to relax. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $120. At retailers online in the US, it can be had for a mere $96. As I said before, that makes this the most inexpensive fountain pen that Visconti has or ever has offered. The price point is accessible and at the same time made in Italy by the fine Italian craftsmen at the Florentine villa where Visconti makes their pens. This pen, with its quality and writing experience, as well as being made in Italy and not outsourced to the lowest bidder, is a fantastic value and an encouraging step in the direction of infecting the younger generations with the fountain pen virus. If there is anything that I would have to say is bad, I would have to say it's in the fact that the pen is not packaged with an ink cartridge. Now, I for one don't like ink cartridges, nor do I use them. But being that this pen is aimed at the younger generation, the inclusion could have been appropriate, being that younger users may be more inclined to use cartridges since they could be more convenient when it comes to refilling during classes, or perhaps not being able to get a hall pass from a grumpy teacher in order to get a paper towel to clean their pen after bottle filling. Also, as I stated before, there wasn't filling instructions included in the box. If this is going to a younger user, the probability that the said user would need the instructions could be higher, especially considering that I have coworkers that are adults that even with instructions can't seem to figure out how to fill a converter pen without the aid of a step-by-step puppet show with pictures and sound effects. But these are ultra super minor complaints and almost not even worth mentioning, being that the value of the pen is already knocked out of the ballpark based on what you get versus what you pay. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. This pen overall is pretty solid. There's almost nothing to say that's ugly about this pen. Almost. Let me talk about the build of the pen. As I said before, it's fantastic. The issue that was present in the Mirage with the magnet being pulled out of the cap is not present here in this pen. It's most likely due to the magnet making contact with the entire inner surface of the cap, whereas in the Mirage, the magnet only made contact with the portions of the cap that were faceted inwards. Also, in the overall construction, there doesn't seem to be much in the way of corners cut as a result of this pen being so inexpensive. But I did find one thing. As I said before, this pen is injection molded. It has very little evidence in the way of injection molding relief marks. That's because they did a good job for the most part in covering them up, except for the bottom of the pen. If you look at the bottom of the pen, there is what looks like a metal butt plug filling in a hole. That tells me that when the pen was removed from the mold, there was a hole already there. So the solution was to simply plug it up. I have to imagine that I'm right, because what would have been the sense if the pen was otherwise seamless and didn't have a hole to deliberately drill a hole to add a little metal butt plug? Design? I don't think so. It serves no purpose functionally and aesthetically interrupts the sleekness of the pen. But like I said in the gripe and the bad, this is another super minor gripe, almost not even worth mentioning. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Visconti Breeze fountain pen? Find out after this short commercial break.
Hi, I'm Tom Otto with Goldspot Pens.
I'm Roy of the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel.
Thanks to Kenro Industries, Goldspot Pens and PenBoyRoy proudly invite you to enter in a massive giveaway of a litany of stickers, including 4 sheets of Esterbrook stickers, loose stickers, Esterbrook name brand stickers, an unreasonably huge typewriter sticker, and arguably the best sticker of the bunch, a PenBoyRoy sticker. Oh, and there's also an Esterbrook Estie pen too.
To enter for a chance to win this ridiculous bounty of stickers and the pen, click the link in the video description below where you can enter in a bunch of ways. You have until March 31st to enter.
Prevent a stickerless future.
Enter now. These pens are trendy, they're fun, they are colorful, and even though they're considered an entry-level pen, I think that anyone at any stage of fountain pen virus infection can really enjoy it and get a lot out of it. These pens, being as accessible as they are, make the possibility of collecting all the colors realistic for me. I'm even excited about the idea of Visconti releasing more colors in the future, as they do for the Rembrandts and the Van Goghs. I certainly find these to be a better pen than the Mirage that was released prior to this pen. The Visconti Breeze doesn't suffer from magnets falling out or having to carve out threads in the included converter just to get it to fit. No, it works as it should, out of the box, without any issues that could taint the sacred experience of buying a new fountain pen. And it even costs less than the Mirage. If you haven't seen my Visconti Mirage review and don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. The link will be in the script below. Back to the Breeze, at a price of $96, combined with the quality, writing experience, and availability of various flavors, this is a definite pull the trigger. Unless you don't like vibrant colors or hate the fact that these pens come in virtually every Skittles flavor. There is nothing here in terms of buyer's remorse. It's through and through a solid buy. That was my review of the Visconti Breeze. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.